political analyst. Good morning, Dr. Hala.
Good morning.
We are going to start from Al-Akhbar, where we read Sidqi Subhi, our Minister of Defense, says the highest levels of vigilance to secure the borders and protect Egypt. The Minister of Defense says the army is united as one to protect the people. The Chief of Staff shares the fighters of the Air Force Iftar. Higazi says, we have achieved successful strikes against the terrorist groups in Sinai, and military experts say the Mistral carrier is a complete army in itself. To add to this, the Mistral can carry up to 16 helicopters and 450 Marines, in addition to be ready to receive any plane anytime. And the military experts are echoing what I've just said. It's a complete army in itself. Ma'am, regarding what was said, it's normal. But how do you see first having the Minister of Defense, in addition to the Chief of Staff, in addition, of course, to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, whenever Ramadan is there, they are all keen to have iftar from a time.
With their people, with their soldiers.
Amen to that. Okay.
Yes.
You continue.
In fact, this is part of their success, that the army is one unit.
Yes.
From the highest rank to the lowest rank.
Yep.
The smallest soldier feels that the greatest rank in his place pays care for him, cares for him, pays attention, doesn't look at him as something trivial, just to take orders.
Yep.
But you said something very important about the Mistral, because it elevated the rank of the Egyptian Navy to the 6th Navy in the world.
Yeah.
And this is very good news for Egypt, though our Navy has been known to be very successful and very appreciated in the world as a great Navy.
And many countries, and especially the big powers, are keen to have joint maneuvers with us. And even our Egyptian fighters who were there in France to be trained over the Mistral, they finished their courses way ahead
in a very short time.
Before the limited time. So it was great.
But about the maneuvers, other countries are very keen to have maneuvers with the Egyptian army, with all its arms.
Yeah.
The Navy and the ground forces, the Air Force. We have a fighting army.
Yes.
We are not like any other country.
Yes.
They have been fighting for a very long time over history, and they have a great experience. It's better than the experience of many other countries who are more developed than Egypt.
Amen to that, ma'am. From Al-Masri Al-Yawm, we continue to read, the Prime Minister says the municipal elections before the end of the year, 2 meetings for the cabinet before the Lesser Bayram to finish the open files. Prime Minister Engineer Sharif Ismail stressed that the 2 meetings are to be held before Al-Eid and before the vacation to conclude some of the open files. The same issue is tackled in Al-Yawm Al-Saba, where we continue to read, a new blow to the Brotherhood and a victory for the coalition in support of Egypt, the municipals to put an end to corruption and the remnants of the terrorist group, and an exercise to turn the coalition into a comprehensive political organization. Prime Minister announces concluding of the draft law to carry out the elections before the end of the year. Not only concerning this, but to conclude the draft laws we have, because unfortunately many things are waiting for the laws to be ratified, and then many things are going to go faster and smoother. Are we that late, or it should take this time?
In fact, the Parliament has a very big task in front of it, and it must tackle it part by part. They cannot tackle everything because we have a new constitution that needs new laws in many aspects. And they have to study it in a very good way. They cannot just approve or just deny. They must study everything before approving or enacting a law.
So we should take time.
Yes.
From Al-Masri Al-Yawm, page 3, we continue to read. This time it's about the crashed Egypt Air plane which crashed in the Mediterranean last month. 80% the amount of damage from the black boxes data recorders of Egypt Air plane. Egyptian investigators say they would take the memory chips from the black boxes of crashed Egypt Air flight MS-804 to France next week for repairs. And still with the same issue, but from اليوم السابع, this time, Egypt refuses to send the 2 black boxes to the United States, and the Ministry of Civil Aviation says emptying the data of the recorders is a matter of sovereignty. Egypt Air flight MS-804 spiraled down into the Mediterranean early on May 19 on its way from Paris to Cairo, killing all 66 people on board. We have more details in the coming report.
The damaged black box flight recorders of an Egypt airplane that crashed into the Mediterranean last month are to be sent to France for repairs. The Egyptian Investigative Committee made the announcement, adding that the memory units were damaged from the 2 recorders recovered from the seabed almost a month after the crash of the Airbus A320. Investigators hope the recorders will reveal the cause of the May 19 crash of flight MS-804 from Paris to Cairo, in which 66 people were killed. The investigative committee said in a statement that the memory units of the 2 flights' recorders were damaged. It added that members of the panel would travel to France next week with the electronic circuits of the 2 black boxes to have them repaired in labs of the French Air Safety Agency, BEA, and to eliminate salt deposits. The committee said repaired units would be returned to Cairo for analysis in Egypt's aviation ministry labs. It added that French forensic doctors would join their Egyptian counterparts to take part in the recovery operations of body remains at the site of the crash, in which 30 Egyptian passengers and 15 French nationals were among the dead. The investigative committee began examining the black boxes last Saturday in the presence of representatives from France and the United States, where the engine was made. The data on the boxes are being unloaded before they are fully analyzed in a procedure that is expected to last several weeks. Investigators have said it is too early to determine what caused the plane to crash, although a terror attack has not been ruled out.
Welcome back. Ma'am, the plane or the accident, I think it proved that even if it is a terrorist attack, even if this scenario is one of the scenarios possible to explain what happened, but yet whenever the 2 countries, and here I mean Egypt and France, are really evaluating the matter in a wise manner, their relationship or their relations or their ties are not going to be affected. And it's going on. I mean, we are going to send next week the black boxes to be repaired there. We have received the Mistral last week, and we are going to receive the other Mistral, inshallah, by late September. So nothing changed. How do you see this as an indication of those who want to have double measures? They are going to have it. Those who want to sever the ties are going to do it. But those who want to be our allies are going to remain Egypt allies.
There is a kind of partnership between Egypt and France, and this is very clear in many aspects. And in fact, both countries are harmed with what happened with the plane downing, because it was in the face of France, because the plane was coming from France. There was a possibility that if there was a bomb, it was planted in France. And Egypt was hurt, of course, because this is Egyptian plane, and the majority of the people on the plane were Egyptians. But both countries understand that there are many fingers trying to play in these relations. And when it comes to relations, it's not easy to just say things that are not rational. Everything must be studied. And it is a mutual interest for both countries to find the truth.
Yes.
That's why they are both cooperating in trying to find out the information from the black box of the plane.
Yes.
And there was a refusal to send the box to the United States. It was sent to France with Egyptian experts.
Yes.
It's not only France that is going to see what's going on. There are Egyptian experts accompanying the memory chips.
Members of the investigative committee.
Yes.
Yes. And even the forensics from Egypt or France are going to be joined together to examine the remains and the body parts we have to determine the identity of the victims.
Because if it's even a terrorist attack, it was meant against France and Egypt
Both
at the
of
same
them,
time.
yes.
Not only Egypt or not only France.
Yes. Moving to some international news, or to be accurate, the hot stories of the day, which is the Brexit, when the Britons decided that they are going to go out or to leave the EU. From Al Akhbar front page we read, the British remove the European Union and Cameron resigns after 43 years of membership. The British choose to remove the European Union. Cameron admits the defeat and announces his resignation. The same issue is tackled in Al Masri Al-Yawm, but it was described here as an earthquake. The quake of Britain shakes the world. 52% refuse to remain in the European Union and Cameron resigns. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg says Britain would remain a strong ally and continue to play the leading role it's playing in the alliance despite the vote. اليوم السابع, to continue with, the British gashed the European Union. 52% of the British voted for the exit. Alarmed warns from the collapse, a historic drop for the sterling pound, crazy increase in the prices of gold, a retreat in the world stock market, and we do have more details in the coming comprehensive report about Brexit.
Shock vote to pull out of the European Union whipped 2.1 trillion US dollars from global equity markets on Friday. This as traders panicked in the face of a new threat to the global economy. Investors fled to the safety of gold, the yen and blue chip bonds as the seismic shift in the structure of Europe left many huge questions hanging, including who will lead Britain following the resignation of Prime Minister David Cameron. The Brexit vote sparked 8% losses in the Tokyo and Paris bourses, nearly 7% in Frankfurt, and more than 3% in London and New York. Central banks stepped in to bolster confidence, promising to inject liquidity where needed and appearing to mitigate some of the sharpest losses. Still, the pound crashed 10% to a 31-year low at one point, before rebounding slightly for a 9.1% loss against the greenback in late trade. The euro also plunged, dropping 2.6% on the dollar. Benefiting from a massive safety sell-off, gold jumped nearly 5% and the yen surged 4.2% against the dollar and 7% on the euro. The dollar at one point fell below 100 yen for the first time since November 2013.
Welcome back. Ma'am, first, was it expected?
In fact, it was not expected. This was a gamble from Cameron, but he expected that Britain will not exit the European Union, but it went out of control and he paid the price by having to resign.
Yeah.
Because what happened will hurt Britain before hurting the European
Will
Union.
hurt Britain in what way?
In what way? First, Scotland and Ireland said we are going to leave the United Kingdom.
Inside the United Kingdom,
Yes.
that Scotland and Ireland prefer to remain into. But from
and
the
economically, of course, they will be
This was my
affected.
coming
And there were threats even before this referendum that many big corporations said that if Britain exits the European Union, we are going to move our operations from Britain, and that will be a very big blow to the United Kingdom economy. But it will not hurt the United Kingdom alone. It will hurt the whole of Europe and the world, because as you see, stock exchanges was affected all over the world.
Yes.
it was not only the sterling that plunged. The euro too had the same effect. It was slightest. It was slighter than what happened to the sterling, but it was affected.
And the crazy jump in the gold prices, even here in Egypt. And every carat, I think it's 20 pound increase.
Yes, and the slide in the shares of the big corporations in England. Some of them had 30% slide. That was very dangerous.
But some economic analysts would say that this is going to fade bit by bit, and it's not going to. I mean, they were thinking on the long run. They said that Britain was just shouldering the responsibility of so many wrong decisions by the European Union. For example, the migration issue, the immigration, the refugees or the asylum seekers issue.
This is the main problem in the European Union.
Yeah.
Not only for Britain, because Hungarian Prime Minister was very quick to say that maybe this is an alarm bell for the European Union to review its policies concerning immigrants, because we don't have to assimilate all these numbers of immigrants.
Yeah.
It was not only Hungary. You can say that Hungary is new to the European Union. There were calls in the founding members of the European Union in Holland, in France, in Italy. These are founding members of the European Union.
Yeah.
The rightist force there was very quick to jump and say that, see, it's better for our countries to get out of the European Union.
Then are you expecting a domino effect?
They say there will not be a domino effect, but there will be an effect, of course, because we all know that rightist forces, rightist parties in all these countries are against the European Union, are against this kind of union that leaves nothing for the national state, that makes the national states just part of a unity. Many people do not want that. But in England, the people who voted for this exit were not the educated people. We must understand that. Educated people were against going out of the European Union because, as you know, Britain has certain privileges in this union. They have their currency, for example. They didn't have a euro.
Yes.
They kept the sterling.
Yeah.
And they have certain guarantees and many privileges, but they had economic benefits.
Yeah.
These benefits will go, of course.
Tomorrow is another day, and we're going to see what's going to happen. And I think it's going to be that fast or faster than we imagined.
It takes a years.
Years?
For the real exit, it takes a years. Maybe.
Okay.
Close to 8 years. Maybe. That was what the Europeans themselves said. They will not go out tomorrow.
Tomorrow is another day, ma'am. Dr. Hala, thank you very much for your input, ma'am, and have a very good day.
Thank you.
Right, this week come to the end of this very quick press review. Stay tuned on Nile TV International always for more. We are going to be back right after the short break to continue with the remaining part of our breakfast show.